news, though, with the rest of the cannabis news from that state. Here's Michigan NORBL Executive Director Rick Thompson.
Hello again. This is the Michigan Report with Rick Thompson on Weed Talk News. Let's begin. Well, all those 420 parties in April led to a huge 27% increase in sales of regulated cannabis products in April, said New Cannabis Ventures. The single month total, as reported by the CRA, was $195 million, which breaks down as $168 million in adult use and $27 million in medical. Sales in our holiday month crushed all previous sales records. Previous top month in sales was July of 2021 with about $170 million. Medical sales fell 17% last month as compared to March of this year, while adult use sales rose by 38.6% over the same increment. Medical flower and trim accounted for almost 50% of the market in April. In vape carts, 1/4 of the medical market. However, almost 56% of the huge adult use market sales were flower and trim, while carts accounted for only 20% of the market. The CRA reports the average price of a pound of cannabis at historic lows, reaching $21-28. This continues an overall downward price trend, but stands in contrast with March's unexpected spike in per pound pricing. Now, the Consumer Connection program we have with the Cannabis Regulatory Agency has yielded some pretty good results lately. We helped to stop conversion oil from coming to Michigan, pushed for a hearing on labeling for remediated products, and pushed hard for the CRA to publish all of the social equity plans. Now, these plans are corporate pledges of action toward community benefit and are required by law for all adult use cannabis business licensees. Now, the regulatory agency has come up with a program to almost do that. The tiered reward system for social equity within the state's licensed adult use cannabis program. Now, this was created as a result of the suggestions from the Cannabis Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Workgroup. The Social Equity All-Star Program defines 3 tiers of recognition to licensees who meet the qualifying criteria of the program by publishing social equity plans, corporate spend plans, and community reinvestment plans. The bronze level is just publish your social equity plan. The silver level is publish your social equity plan and your corporate equity spend plan too, and encourage licensees to use diverse suppliers. The gold level is defined by publishing the plans, publishing a spend plan, and publishing the community reinvestment plan. The gold level involves more disclosure about volunteer time and donation percentages going toward racial and ethnic minorities, women, veterans, Native American tribes, LGBTQ, people with disabilities, and returning citizens. Now, this is a voluntary program and not all licensees will choose to participate because corporations like to claim grand deeds without any evidence of accomplishment, but the CRA is willing to encourage companies to participate in the All-Star program by offering various promotions and recognition events throughout the year. Well, it took Detroit about 1 month for their new adult use cannabis business ordinance to be challenged in court, and that's longer than most thought it would take. This is the second time the city's tried to pass ordinance law allowing cannabis businesses. A federal court ruled the previous ordinances were probably unconstitutional by giving preferential treatment in licensing to certain groups of Detroiters. Now, there are 75 businesses already licensed to sell medical cannabis in Detroit. The new ordinance would allow around 100 adult use cannabis retailers in the city, and licensing could begin this summer, but only for new social equity applicants. Those 75 existing medical marijuana retailers would be shut out of the adult use market by 2027, according to the new lawsuit filed by Detroit medical dispensary chain House of Dank. City leaders have very publicly said they want a cannabis industry in Detroit, which looks like the city residents and is made up of city residents. And the vast majority of current medical marijuana dispensary owners do not look or live like Detroiters. The lawsuit only freezes the limited cannabis retail licensing process, though, because the ordinance has severability. The unlimited licensing of cultivation, testing, transport, and processing operations can continue charging forward. Well, Arts, Beats, and Eats is a huge festival in the Metro Detroit community of Royal Oak, which draws 400,000 people each year. This year, the promoter promised to add a cannabis sales and consumption area, but on Monday, the city council said no. But what it really said was, not yet. It was a narrowly decided question, losing on a vote of 4-3, One council person said maybe next year. Another said it's just not the right time. The police chief's testimony was key to the proposed cannabis area's defeat, as he'd researched cannabis events and authorized by the state, learning none of the previous events allowed alcohol sales, which the arts event does in a very big way, and that all the events held previously were considerably smaller than the 4-day, 400,000 attendees they expected. However, he did say that they'd be monitoring two large 420 friendly music festivals happening in northern Michigan this year, which might ease his concerns about sales in large crowds. The Detroit News cites events in Manistee, which just approved Smoke on the Water Fest last month, and the Hoxeyville Music Fest in Wellston. Now, big ups to our state and all the progress being made here. Here's hoping that the Arts, Beats, and Eats will opt into cannabis next year. And if they do, that they change the event's name to Arts, Beats, Eats, and Peace. And that's it for the Michigan Report with Rick Thompson for Weed Talk News.